What's going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Daughtery here yet again with another edition of the Alabama Football Report. Before we get into today's show, we're trying to beat our sub number from the month of April. We got 309 new subscribers in April. That's pretty solid being outside the season, but the bosses said we need to get at least 500 new subscribers here in the month of May. I think we can do it. Help me out. Stay up to date on all Alabama football news out there. Make sure you guys hit that sub button for me right now. Coming up on today's show, we're going to go through a little depth chart action with you guys. It's now after spring practice and after the transfer portal, so we're going to try to predict here who the starters are going to be for Alabama coming up here in the 2025 season. Alabama did not lose a single player in this year's transfer portal, and they also did add 2 more players. We'll touch on them a little bit here on today's video as well. I'm going to go ahead and do this video just because Alabama only has 1 scholarship spot left, and as of right now, it does not seem that they're going to be going after anybody else in the transfer portal. So we're going to kick it off right here, right now with the quarterbacks. I think pretty much everybody kind of assumes at this point that it is going to be Ty Simpson. He's still got to go through the summertime. He's still got to win it in the fall, and he's still got to win it throughout the season as well. But it really does seem like he has taken that step forward in terms of being that leader that Alabama needs on the offensive side of the ball. Still really love Austin Mack. Really respect him for sticking around and not hitting the transfer portal as well, because there was a little bit of a time there where people were wondering, hey, Ryan Grubb said if we played a game tomorrow, Ty Simpson would be the starter. Does that just completely take Austin Mack out of the run? And I don't think it does at all. Keelon Russell's a phenomenal talent, a phenomenal athlete, but I don't think, just because, he is on this depth chart does not mean that Austin Mack could not win the job next year over him as well, because as we know, that leadership aspect is a big, big thing in terms of being that starting quarterback for Alabama. So I do think Ty Simpson's going to be the starter for week 1, at least for the season for Alabama. We'll see what happens. Let's go over here to the running backs now. I've got Jam Miller at that running back 1 spot. Definitely think that's going to be the case there. But I took a little bit of a risk here. And I really, with the, buzz that we have gotten, out of springtime about Daniel Hill, I'm just going to go ahead and predict it right now. This is a predictions video, so, it's not like I'm saying this is going to be the case, but I think Daniel Hill could get more run than Richard Young this year. I think when it comes to that running back 2 spot, one of the big keys there is going to be how those guys can pass protect. Who's going to be more consistent in being able to pass protect? I think both of these guys are really, really good. But as of right now, I'm taking a little shot at it, and I'm going to say Daniel Hill is going to be Alabama's running back 2 going into next season. Let's go over to the wide receivers now. These are definitely going to be your starting 3 wide receivers: Germie Bernard, Ryan Williams, and Isaiah Horton. And really, with what you have at that wide receiver spot in terms of the depth as well, it's going to really help out Ryan Williams, I believe, in this season. They'll be able to utilize him in the slot. They'll be able to kick him out wide. I think he's going to, just be utilized in a completely different way. Not maybe completely different way, but they're going to be able to expand the playbook for Ryan Williams. And then you add Isaiah Horton into this. Man, he was like wide receiver 3 or 4 for Miami last year, and he was putting up last year. He had more receptions than both Ryan Williams and Germie Bernard. Didn't have any as much yards, but still, just adding him to this wide receiver room is going to be absolutely elite for Alabama. And then you look at the backups as well. I think Jalen Hale is going to be a big key as well at that wide receiver 4 spot for Alabama, whether that's going in for Ryan Williams at times or Isaiah Horton. I think Jalen Hale is set for a really big season for the Crimson Tide this year. Rico, Scott, Lotzier, Brooks, those guys really popped off during the springtime as well. Didn't hear a ton about Derek Meadows, but, he's a freshman. You can't really expect every single freshman to come out here and, really put up a massive, massive spring. But, man, this wide receiver room for Alabama is very, very exciting, and I do think you have more dogs in that room than you did this time last season. So get in the comments section right here and let me know who will be Alabama's leading wide receiver in 2025. Will it be Germie Bernard? Will it be Ryan Williams? Will it be Isaiah Horton? Hell, maybe it's Jalen Hale. Probably don't think it's going to be that. But let me know what you guys think at the pinned comment of today's video, especially if that ad comes right here on YouTube. Let's go over to the tight end spot now. This is where you added those two players in the transfer portal. You added Brody, Dalton, and Jack Sammarco, and I don't necessarily think they're going to play a lot for Alabama this year. I think the main two guys are going to be Josh Cuevas, Danny Lewis Jr. I'm a big fan of Josh Cuevas. I think he's going to fill that role really nicely, for C.J. Dupree. I do think Lindsey is going to play a little bit for Alabama this year in terms of being one of those, tight end pass catchers for you. We'll see what happens with Caleb Edwards. He's coming in during the summertime, but this tight end room is pretty solid. Danny Lewis Jr. has not necessarily been able to contribute a ton for Alabama in his time here, but, man, I do think that kid's, really, he's pretty athletic. He can catch the ball as well, and I would not be surprised if Danny Lewis Jr. really does have a breakout season this year. Over to the offensive line now, and the only thing that I changed along the offensive line right now, I kind of have a feeling that Geno Vandermark might be the starter there week 1 at that left guard spot. I think Cam Dewberry is really good. You got him out of the transfer portal, and he is in his last season of eligibility, so he did not come to Alabama to be a backup, but man, what Geno Vandermark was able to do for you last season, I think he garnered a lot of trust with this coaching staff. And, if something happens to Parker Brailsford, he's probably going to slide over to center, and then Cam Dewberry is going to go in there at left guard. If something happens to Jaden Roberts, Geno Vandermark is probably going to go over there at right guard. Same thing. Cam Dewberry slides in there to that left guard spot. I've got Lotzier right now at that left tackle spot just for this predictions video, only because, Caden Proctor was out for a lot this spring, and Lotzier got a lot of valuable reps over there at that tackle spot. I think Jackson Lloyd can also play over there as well, but he is a freshman, and, Alabama does start freshmen on the offensive line. You saw Caden Proctor do it 2 years ago, but I do think Wilkin Formby is going to be a solid, piece over there at that right tackle position. It's just one more extra year of, growing and getting better. I've got a lot of confidence in Wilkin Formby. Hopefully he does take that next step, but man, this offensive line is going to be pretty solid for Alabama next season. I think that big question mark right now is just at that left guard spot. And as of right now, I'm just going to go ahead and predict that it's going to be Geno Vandermark there in week 1. So let me know what you guys think yet again here in the comment section. Pick a left guard for me to start week 1 against Florida State. Type KD if you think it's going to be Cam Dewberry, or type GV if you think it's going to be Geno Vandermark. Let's go over to the defensive line now. I didn't really touch anything on the defensive line right here. It's pretty much the exact same depth chart as we've been showing you guys here for the past couple of months now. Tim Keenan, he's going to be your nose guard right there. He's going to be a run stuffer right there in the middle of your defensive line. James Smith, definitely going to be one of those starters as well for you. Jeremiah Beeman, he got a lot of buzz this spring, really, in terms of his development. And then Jordan Renaud and LT Overton, I think those are going to be your main key guys there. And Kelby Collins, they also said, Kane Womack said that he was kind of playing a little bit inside, a little bit outside. So we'll see kind of where he sits there. But as of right now, I do think these are going to be your starters along the defensive line. LT Overton's probably going to play a little bit more than Jordan Renaud. James Smith probably going to play a little bit more than Jeremiah Beeman. But, I thought going into this transfer portal window that they would add at least one more player to the interior of that defensive line. But it does sound like they really like what they got out of Edric Hill as well. And who knows, maybe you can even get a little bit of contribution from Steve Mbakwe. I went ahead and separated the Wolf position from the linebacker position now. So we'll start off here with Wolf. That's a.k.a. that outside linebacker / edge rusher position there. It's going to be Quay Broussard. It's going to be Jamarian Latham. But one thing, I was talking to Clint Lamb a couple weeks ago about, Justin Hill. And I was like, hey, is there any world where Justin Hill jumps Yonze Pierre? And he was like, look, I don't think that it's necessarily not going to happen. I mean, Justin Hill is a prototypical Wolf that Kane Womack really does like at that position. They kind of been piecing things together here or at least last year anyways. But I would not be surprised if Justin Hill got a little bit of playing time for Alabama at that Wolf spot this season. But that's not to say I don't like what you have with Yonze Pierre and Noah Carter as well. But Justin Hill, definitely a guy that got a lot of buzz this spring. So let me know here in the comment section, will Justin Hill get significant playing time this year? Now, significant playing time, that obviously is, up for debate. What that actually means, I think it means not garbage time, which I guess that's also up for debate what that means as well. But let me know what you guys think here in the comment section. Type Y for yes or N for no for me right now. Over to the middle linebacker position now. You got Deontay Lawson. You got Justin Jefferson. That's going to be your 1-2 punch right there. I was also talking to Clint about this middle linebacker spot in terms of, the backups there, Caden Jones, QB Reese, kind of how they're looking. And, he kind of told me a couple of weeks ago that, Caden Jones was kind of right there with Nakai Hill-Green. That's not to say that he's going to play over Nakai Hill-Green because obviously he came in out of the transfer portal from Colorado and he was still learning this defensive playbook. And Caden Jones, QB Reese, those guys have been in the program now a couple of years. So I think it's probably going to be Nakai Hill-Green as that linebacker 3 there in certain packages for Alabama. But, man, I think you heard a lot of really positive things about Caden Jones' development, about QB Reese's development, and another guy, Abdul Sanders, that you got in that 2025 signing class. It sounded like he popped off this spring as well. So Alabama at that linebacker spot, pretty solid, but I do think it's going to be Deontay Lawson, Justin Jefferson, and Nakai Hill-Green, I assume, is probably going to be that third starter at that linebacker spot for you. Over to the defensive backs now. Man, this is probably one of the strongest groups that Alabama has on this, roster right now, maybe outside of the wide receivers. Damani Jackson, he's going to be in that category for a possible, first, second round NFL draft pick next year. I think the same thing with Keon Sabb. I think the same thing with Bray Hubbard. The only thing is Xavier Brown is not eligible for the 2026 NFL draft. But if he was, man, he would also be a guy that is up there as well. I think Deshaun Jones is going to be that guy at that Husky position this year. Red Morgan, it sounded like he was taking a lot of reps at that outside cornerback position. And I also, at that cornerback spot, I put Dejon Lee over Cam Calhoun. Not necessarily because I don't think Cam Calhoun's good, but I think Dejon Lee really did show in, coming in as a freshman this spring that the length that he brings to that cornerback spot is really going to be valuable for Alabama and for Kane Womack. He was a former 5-star, so that's going to be an interesting thing to kind of, see when, Alabama gets ahead in some of these games, who is going to be that next corner that goes into the game. Is it going to be Dejon Lee? Is it going to be Cam Calhoun? I think both of those options are really, really good for Alabama. And that safety spot too, man. Zay Mincy definitely could be a, safety 3 for Alabama. Definitely think if something happens to, Keon Sabb or Bray Hubbard, Zay Mincy is going to be able to go in there and give you some really, really valuable reps during this season. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the channel. We've got all these Alabama videos all off season long. Like I said, we're trying to get 500 subscribers here in the month of May, and we're very, very close to hitting that 25,000 subscriber mark. Only 207 away. So help me out, help yourself out, and stay up to date on all Alabama news out there. Hit that sub button for me right now.